lately I had an opportunity to remember a time when I was in a different place in my life. And sometimes you forget, you progress through life, and you forget what did it take to bring you to where you are today, and you don't even realize the progress that you made, and you start to complain about things that are going on in life as of right now, but you forgot the road that you did up until this point. And there's also times when events happen and you realize that other people might be struggling with stuff, and you realize that people need guidance of their own. And whether or not you are experiencing some type of a challenge, um, this now or later could be or will be useful if you get value out of it. And it is also useful for me to be able to clearly explain the things that come um, come at play and how do these things operate. Because when it comes to vices, when it comes to things that make us suffer in life, they always surround themselves with us. We always make whatever that moment where we partake in that vice, or that relationship, or whatever it is that we consume, right, that becomes a vice, we make it about us. We make that moment in time about us through that action. And through it, I believe that we try to fulfill some type of emotion, some type of void, and that's where it all starts. And it could also be linked to things such as, anxiety, depressions, emotions that you feel, states of being which are unsufferable at times. And it becomes that case when we focus on ourselves a lot, and our comfort, and our image, and who we are, and what are we experiencing, etc., etc. But the more we focus on us, the least we're able to have an actual accurate depiction of life from the reality that we're experiencing, to have an accurate one. And then it's like trying to look at yourself like this and trying to draw yourself. It wouldn't work. You could look in the mirror though and try to do it, right? That would be already a bigger step, right? You could look at the world around you and draw the world around you without a mirror. And in that way, you would have an understanding of who is it that you are through the repetition of the action of drawing this, that, the other, right? It's like the flashlight example. You could use the flashlight and instead of looking at it straight and trying to figure out what color it is, you could aim it at anything around you, and you would know that it's purple, it's yellow, it's etc., whatever. And the point of saying all of this is to say that when we are faced with either a challenge, or faced with some type of vice, or faced with some type of state that we struggle to actually manage or overcome, in my case, it has always proved itself that when we made it about other people, when we made it about other things, we were able to remove the limits of that image of who we are, that concept of ourselves. Because as soon as you have a concept of yourself, you have some type of feeling of, well, there's things I can do and some things I can't. And some of us go through every day telling ourselves that we can't go through the day without smoking something, without having these thoughts, without consuming this, that, the other, without seeing this person, or etc. And whatever it is that we consume or do, and that bring us further from ourselves, from a core feeling of self, which is effortless, that you don't need to maintain, and that doesn't put you at always a fear of losing, that is not flimsy, and it doesn't create peace in your life. All of that has to be put away. It's pretty much what I'm saying is that all of those things become a threat to actually you getting closer to who you are as a person, to what reality is around you. And you can get closer to that when you remove the things that create the confusion and you add things that create clarity. Because the same way that looking at the light wouldn't be accurate, because it could, the light could be purple, but by being blinded by it, you could see white, you could see green, you could see whatever. But aiming it towards the outside, towards other, could help you actually have an exact description, a more accurate one of what is it that you are, who is it that you are, and what is it that that makes you? What is it that you see in the world consistently, pretty much, right? And so, yeah, this idea to be able to forget about ourselves for a moment, to be able to think about other people, is what allows you to overcome things which come in your way. And so it's to stop identifying with certain things. It's to stop identifying with the fact that, oh, you need to do this, that, the other, through a certain day or through a certain time period, right? The only reason that you feel that way is because you have been doing that for a certain amount of time, right? There was a time before that when you didn't take these actions, and there's now. And then now, it's a choice to recreate what you know, or to do something different, to not repeat the action. And to understand that you have a choice here today, to not make it about you at that moment when it becomes a struggle, but to make it about other people, because you want to live in a world where you don't live in a delusion, right? You want to live in a world which is accurate and that doesn't create pain for you and for other people around you. Then do it for other people, and that will allow you to overcome it. Another point is something that I've seen in a video, and it's that when we have addictions of this sort, in action, a thought, whatever, is that a lot of times we actually struggle to be able to sit within an emotion that we escape repeatedly all the time through taking that action, because it saves you from experiencing it. And that could be boredom, it could be sadness, it could be anger, whatever it is, but you choose repeatedly to not face this by doing this here. And the trick here is to be able to just sit in that emotion. And in the video, it was a woman, I don't know her name, but she said pretty much that if you could do it with somebody else, if you could just sit in that feeling while somebody else is present, you would realize that this too shall pass, pretty much. And that it's not that scary. But it's like a dog, like when you run away from a dog, the dog starts to chase you. But if you don't run away from the dog, most of the time the dog won't be as aggressive towards you because you weren't running away. And it's the same thing with these things here, is that by running away from the emotion, you're kind of creating a thing where now there's like this thing going on where you're being chased, or you feel like you're being chased, and it's a lot more aggressive, it's a lot more intense. But if you just were to sit with the dog in the analogy, or with the emotion that you're refusing to face, then you'd realize that it's really not that bad, it's really not that serious. And that is so much easier than to actually take all these actions which are vices, and those actions will create problems in your life. That will actually create so much more pain than to just sit in here for whatever amount of time it may be. It might be 30 seconds, it might be 5 minutes, 10, 15, a day, or a week, but it will pass, and then you would have overcome, right? And I think that's what it comes down to, is that by being able to just surrender, that's what people say, right? By the more you surrender, the more magic happens. And that's one of those things that whenever you're being egoistic, you're making it about you. And when you make it about you, you're not actually living in reality. You're living in some type of fantasy, just like drugs do. And you create pain, you create confusion in your life. So yeah, I think that I hope that makes sense, and I hope that helps somebody out there, and it already helped me, so I'm good. So yeah, thank you for watching, and leave a comment.